Toronto After Dark. This is an exciting one, folks. We are here for the Canadian premiere of Lazer Team. This is the sound of the internet in the room. Condensed. I'm so excited to be presenting this film. But of course, this is Toronto After Dark, and that means we've got a short film in front of the movie. Let me introduce to you right now the director of this short film, Chasing Death, Alex Mullen. Alex, where are you? Hi. Alex, when I saw this film, I was really excited to play it at the festival. I just want to ask a quick question before you set up the film. Just where did the premise come from? And I don't necessarily want you to give the premise away, but if maybe you could put the audience in your mind for a moment.
Well, first of all, I gotta say, I didn't write the short film, so it's from the really crazy, fucked up mind of one of my friends. So you'll have to ask him, but he's probably in an asylum somewhere, hidden away. I just take him out when I need a new film idea. So that's my secret. Now people do.
Well, what does this audience need to know to get prepared for this movie?
Actually, if I could just, I just wanted to say, I brought my mom tonight as a date because I feel like this is more her night than mine. No, just wait a minute. I just wanted to say, from the moment I was like 7 years old, she's been making ninja costumes for me out of shower curtain. So I feel like she deserves a little shout out. Her name is Jackie, so if you just could give me a Jackie, you're awesome on the count of 3, that would be really great. So you guys ready? Jackie, you're awesome? 1, 2, 3. Jackie, you're awesome! You guys are awesome.
Thanks so much, Alex.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys. And now is the time you were waiting for. I'd like to bring out to the stage the director of Lazer Team, Hullum! What's up, Toronto?
Hey everybody, thanks for coming out. Thanks for beating the shit out of Texas this past week. That sure made me feel welcome. Super excited about being here. I love Toronto. I get to come up here a lot, and I always have a good time, especially when I avoid seeing the Rangers getting demolished. So, you guys are fantastic. I know a lot of community members here from Rooster Teeth. Thank you so much for coming out. How many Indiegogo backers are here? Awesome. You guys made the movie happen, literally, and we can't thank you enough. So, hope you guys enjoy it. And we'll be around afterwards, right?
Yeah, we'll be back for a Q&A.
Cool. Thanks, everybody.
And before we start the movie, let's give a big round of applause for our sponsors, Anchor Bay. Big round of applause for Anchor Bay, but also Raven Banner, Space, Cineplex Odeon, and remember to vote for the film, guys. It's the Anchor Bay People's Choice Award. So remember to vote for that after the screening. And finally, turn off your cell phones, guys. You've been waiting all year for Lazer Team. So turn those cell phones off. No texting. You do that after the movie. Turn them off and enjoy Lazer Team. Sure, let's get this Q&A started. The director of Lazer Team. All right, so guys, start thinking of the questions. I'm gonna start this going. Sort this out. All right. I love the script of this movie, and I just want to start there. I remember in high school watching when Red vs. Blue came out, and it's so exciting that you guys are moving to the live-action feature realm. But when did this idea occur? Like, when did you decide this was going to be the project, and this was going to be the first project, and how did it develop?
With the idea we actually came up with like a while ago, maybe like 5 years ago or something. And it was just like one of our brainstorming sessions, and it just happened to be a really fruitful brainstorming session. We came up with like a ton of stuff that we're actually producing. It's kind of bigger stuff like this, and we have a series called Day 5 that's coming out next year that we're, it all came out of this one session. It was just like really cool. But because this was such a big project, it was always one of those things where, it was gonna be our next project. Like, we're gonna get to it. We're definitely gonna get to it, but it'll be the next one, And then we just realized at some point that it was always going to be the next project unless we did something different to make it happen. And that's when we came up with the idea of doing the Indiegogo campaign. Because what was great about that was not just that we got the financial support to actually make the movie, but that everybody who was a backer became our boss. You know, so it's like we had to make the movie. It couldn't be the next thing. It had to be the thing. It had to be the right now thing. Because you know, people had stepped to the plate, and we had to make sure we didn't play like the Rangers.
And did the project and did the project go through changes once it entered the space of, you know, Indiegogo and crowdfunding? How did the project, like, how did the drafts that you began with change through this process?
I originally played the Champion of Earth. I think I would have been a great Adam. I'm almost as muscular as Alan Richardson, right? But no. You know, yeah, the script did go through some changes. I mean, there was stuff that we felt like that we could write in that we were a little bit nervous about writing in before we realized we'd have a budget. We had an orchestra, you know, that played. I thought the score was pretty cool.
And I gotta say, I saw the rough draft first, and I knew I was gonna love this movie because your rough cut was full of like Back to the Future and all these amazing themes. And so I just already knew that this was gonna be a great project, and the score is fantastic. The final score.
Yeah.
Could you speak to the design elements in the film too? Like, I love the design of the suit of power. I mean, definitely reminiscent of Portal, but could you speak to like who designed the suit and how that process? And again, did it begin as something in a different direction? Did it move into a new one as you develop the film?
A little bit. I mean, we had a pretty clear vision overall for like the aesthetics of the film from the very beginning. You know, we grew up watching kind of like, you know, the mid-late 70s and early 80s sci-fi films, but also the comedy of that era. So for me, I really wanted to take it and like combine not just kind of like aesthetic, you know, sci-fi aesthetic stuff from then, like, you know, Star Wars and Aliens and all that kind of stuff, but also infuse kind of like the, to me, that was like the golden era of comedy, like the John Landis, Ivan Reitman, you know, that whole, you know, scene was like, that's my jam, comedy-wise. So that's kind of where we started, and then, you know, we're video game guys, you know. I mean, it's kind of like just our, you know, in our nature. So we thought we'll modernize that feeling a little bit, you know, draw on some references that we like from the video game world, but infuse it with this kind of hopefully classic 70s sci-fi feeling as well.
And are you a fan of the movie Laser Blast?
You know, people ask me at like, every single screening if I've seen another movie with the word laser in it. And I haven't. Usually afterwards, somebody asks me to, like a mom or something will ask me, did you get the idea from laser tag?
Yeah.
And, you know, and I do love laser tag.
Well,
Laser
Blast is just a movie where a guy puts on an arm that's an alien arm that he finds just starts blowing stuff up. You made the better version, so thank you for that.
Well, thanks.
It was a movie that always disappointed me at the video store. I'd be so excited to watch Laser Blast and be like, other than the animation's beginning, not so hot. All right, we got questions over there.
Scale of 1 to 10, how serious are you guys while making a second movie?
1 to 10, how serious?
Well, that's not a question for me, that's a question for all of you. How serious are we about Laser Team 2? Well, we should probably release this one first. And then we will get to, I mean, I had a blast making this, so I'd love to make another one.
Speaking of release, I mean, those who contributed to Indiegogo are definitely going to be able to see this, but after the festival run, how are people going to see this film?
I will have an announcement about that this month.
Excellent. All right, guys, get excited for that. Right over there. Let's go you first in the white, and then we'll go down.
What would you say was the most challenging part about making this film?
Challenge making the film.
Most challenging part was Bernie. Lazy.
Did he do his own stunts?
Actually, I do have to say, everybody, we had a great stunt team, like pro stunt team, like really good. That had done a ton of like huge movies, and every time they would start talking about a movie they had done, it was like, oh, that's a much bigger movie than this. But Michael and Bernie and Gab and Colton all also did a lot of their own stunts. And there was one, like the biggest one for Bernie that he did. I don't know if you could tell just by look. Yeah, sometimes you can tell like what's a big stunt, what's not, like how it ends up in the film. But when he falls on the truck, you know that part in the like after the cabin blows up, he fell like 12 feet, like onto metal. You know, it was like a serious stunt. We had to do all this prep work with the suspension of the truck to make it give just a certain amount so that he didn't like break his arm. And our stunt coordinator had this saying about doing stunts that I thought was really helpful, which was anybody can do it once. Right? You got to make sure you can get up and do it a second time. So that stunt with Bernie was the literal last thing we shot. Because I wasn't sure we'd get it twice.
Could have been a memorial that our
Yeah.
dedication at the end of the film. All right, right over there.
Where did the inspiration for the wars come from? Like, did you have any specific piece of film or anything to pull that from?
The question was about where the inspiration for the war grace came from.
That's kind of what I look like in the morning after a bender. I wake up. You know, it kind of just like the same thing. You know, before I was talking about the like just amalgamation of you know, cool sci-fi references that we love. Definitely a lot of Star Trek in the bad guys in this movie. So I think, you know, you can see definitely Klingon elements kind of like in their gear and other stuff. And we've used a couple other things from
Kind of looks
from
like a furless Kilrathi or something like that.
Yeah.
That was the vibe I got. Yes, right there.
So, because we're in Toronto, I couldn't have noticed the cameo by Ed Robertson from Bare Naked Ladies.
Bare Naked Ladies, yeah!
His involvement in the film.
Well, we've been really good friends with Ed and, you know, the whole team for a long time. Ed has been in Red vs. Blue, which is another show that we make for like 10 years. And we've done a lot of work with them over the years. I directed like 3 or 4 music videos for them. So I knew when like we were setting out to do this that like they had to be a part of it. Was really excited to have them work on it. They obviously did the song, the theme song, Lazer Team. It's not a dream. Most important battle that the planet has seen. Remember those words. So I was super jazzed about that. And then Ed, we had time to shoot that cameo with him. It was funny, like in one of the early kind of like edits of the movie, I had Ed on screen doing the reporter bit, and he's also singing in the background in the song. I'm like, I should maybe change this. Maybe too much Robertson for one moment.
At the back, very back.
In terms of like post, what type of software did you use
You're
for
not-
editing visual effects?
For creating the visual effects.
Yeah, editing software and VFX. What did you guys use?
Editing, we ended up using Premiere, Adobe Premiere, and visual effects was all over the place. I mean, there was like, you know, probably, I don't know, there's like 100 people who worked on the visual effects. So, you know, Maya, 3D Studio Max, Nuke,
Whatever worked.
After Effects, yeah.
Yes, there was one right there. Yep. You?
First, Matt, thanks for giving me the Lazer Team cup before the movie.
You deserved it.
I did, thank you.
I hope you got one of those big, crazy sodas in there. I love the soda machines here. Those are awesome.
They don't have them down in Texas yet?
There's like one.
Oh.
My question is, if you had to be stuck with one of the pieces of the power armor for the rest of your life, which would you choose, and which would you hate to have the most?
I would want the laser cod piece.
That can mean the sequel.
I think that would be good.
Is Woody ever going to eat?
Find out in Laser Team 2.
Right there.
What was your favorite scene to film?
Oh man, what was
Favorite
my favorite
scene
scene
to
to film? Oh gosh, that's a good one. Where you see the one where
Bernie fell.
yeah, the one where Bernie almost died. No, actually, I liked any scene where it was like there was not action to film. I mean, I loved filming the action. Don't get me wrong, and that was great. But the thing that was hard about making this movie is we only had 40 days to do it, and also anything that was inside because it was freaking cold. But we only had 40 days to do it, and normally with this many stunts and everything, it'd be like an 80-day shoot. So what we had to do was we would film for like, you know, 6, 7, 8 hours doing stunts and stuff, and then I would have to say, all right guys, time to do the acting part, and then we would film for another 6, 7, 8 hours doing all the dialogue. So on days where it was like a big stunt day, you were like exhausted before you even got to the talking. So I like the days that were kind of chill, and there weren't too many of them.
And what was the experience just directing the comedy scenes in terms of rhythm, working with actors that you're both familiar with and those that you weren't? I'm just wondering about your process on set.
Well, you know, one of the reasons we cast Colton, who plays Herman in the movie, is like I love his acting. I think he's really hilarious, but he's also a great writer. Writes for Key and Peele and you know, a bunch of other great shows. And what we would do like beforehand is we would kind of like huddle up together and just do like a little like pseudo improv, like run the scene, but also figure out like where can we punch stuff up. And that was great. We would always find like little extra jokes we could add in. And then, so we do a couple passes like that, and then we might throw in even, you know, a couple other wacky things. So it was fun. I mean, the more time you have to work on comedy, usually the better, you know, because like the more takes you can do are great. And these guys, like, we didn't have a lot of time, so I thought they did awesome, like really hitting the mark on, you know, only being able to do 1 or 2 takes.
You got time for 2 more questions, right there.
What was the hardest scene technically to film?
Technically, what was the biggest challenge?
Probably the final battle scene was the hardest technically, because we couldn't have the cop car on the field, which you see in the movie. So that took a lot of like figuring out. There were so many elements to that, and the battle, it's so long, you know, it's like 20 minutes of runtime, like in one location. So making sure you have every single shot, because when you're like, we were filming on that football field, there's nothing there. You know what I mean? It's like, so like your geography and everything, like you don't have like the normal kind of like guideposts. So, you know, filming a scene to work from, you just kind of have to like figure it out, and it gets kind of confusing with all the layers of visual effects and everything. So what I did for that scene was I made it beforehand. And I stole some of our animators who work at Rooster Teeth that are normally animated shows. We have a couple of animated shows, Red vs. Blue and Ruby, and I just stole them for like a month and said, make this movie for me before I go make the movie so I don't fuck it up.
Right there.
I heard the discussion on the podcast about how you didn't want
I'll
any
get you there.
Rooster Teeth references to be like in jokes that people have to know Rooster Teeth. Were there any gags that were cut because of that, or just Rooster Teeth jokes that were cut?
The question was about whether or not they cut Rooster Teeth jokes because you were worried that maybe they would be too inside baseball.
I don't think so. I can't think of one that we cut. It's an interesting question. No, I find there was a lot of like references that even hardcore fans don't get, and I'm like waiting for people to like notice some things that are in there. So
there was one right behind you that I was pointing at. Yeah, you. That your last question. Yep.
I was gonna ask, do you actually know how many dick jokes are in your movie?
You counted the dick jokes.
I can tell you this: the MPAA has counted.
All right. Thank you so much, Matt. Everyone,
Thank you.
just give it up to Matt. Remember to vote for the film.
Hey, give it up for you guys. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for supporting the movie. I couldn't make it without you.